Good morning everyone, myself Professor Ratnesh Kumar Chaudhary. Today we are going to see the remaining parts of the Python programming syllabus. In today's session we will be covering the control structure. In that we will be covering the if-else statement, the loops, for loop, while loop in the Python, how loops are different in Python as compared to the C language, okay, and we will be also covering the types of if-else statement, okay, variety of if-else statement, and some special keywords are there which controls the loop. That keywords also we are going to cover. We are also going to cover some of the special cases which we use in the loops, okay. So first of all we'll see the control structure. What is control structure? It is a block of code, okay, which controls the flow of your program, okay. Generally the flow of the program is sequential if we do not use any control structure. It means that if we do not use the if else statement or loops or any special keywords which changes the flow of the program, in that case the flow of the program will be sequential flow, okay. If you are using the if else statement, in that case we will be having the flow of program as a conditional flow, okay. So basically three types of flows are defined: sequential flow, which are based on the sequential logic, sequential program, okay. Then conditional flow, which are based on the selection logic, in which we will be generally using the if else statement, okay. And then we have a repetitive flow, in which we use the iteration logic. It means that we will be using some kind of loop. We can use the for loop, while loop, okay. In Python programming we have only two types of loop, that is the for loop and while loop. The loops in the Python programming are similar to the loops which we use in the C language. The logic and the concepts are also similar, only the syntax is different, and also some additional features are provided in the Python programming loop, okay, which are not available in the C programming loop, okay. If we talk about the selection logic, okay, the variety of if-else statement are more in Python programming language as compared to C language, okay. The concepts are also similar, only the syntax is different, okay. If we talk about the sequential logic, okay, the flow and the concepts of the sequential logic is same in the C language also and in the Python language also, only the syntax is different, okay. So we'll be focusing on the selection logic and the iteration logic, okay. The whole control structure is again divided into the two parts. First one is you can say the control logic, and this is what iterative logic, which is a iterative flow of the program, okay. And this is what the conditional flow of the program, okay. So here we have four variety of if else statement. First variety, if statement without else statement, okay. In this case we are going to use only if condition, no else part will be there, okay, as we know that else part are always optional. In Python programming also else part is optional. If you want to use, you can use the else part. If you do not want to use, you can ignore it completely, okay. So second variety is if with else. Here we will be using if condition, okay, and else part will be also there in the program. This is second variety of if else statement, okay. We have the third variety, in which we can use one if statement, multiple elif statement, and one else statement, okay. So when we have to check multiple conditions, like condition 1 is there, condition 2 is there, condition 3 is there, 3 or 4 conditions are there, and we want to check each of the condition, in that case we can use this format, this variety of if else statement. The first condition can be associated with the if, the further condition can be associated with the elif, and the last condition will be associated with the else. Generally the else part will be executed when all the conditions which are given in the if part and elif part are false, okay. The last variety of if-else statement is nesting of if-else. In this case, what we do, we write one if statement inside the another if statement. Okay, we write one if statement inside the another if statements. Okay, or we can write the if statement inside the else statement. Okay, inside the another else statement. This is called nesting of if else. It is also called as if else ladder. Okay, it is also called as if else ladder. Okay, if we talk about the iterative flow, okay, so we have loops here as compared to C language. Okay, we have one less number of loops here. In Python programming we have only two loops, while loop and for loop. We do not have do while loop in Python programming language. Also, in Python programming language we can use else statement with the loop. Okay, with the while loop. Also we can use else statement with the for loop. Okay, these facilities are exclusive in the Python programming language. These are the additional part in the Python programming language which are not available in the C programming language. Okay, in Python programming, if you talk about the variety of if else statement, so we have seen that we have four variety. The first is if variety without else, second is if with else, third is if, elif and else, and the last one is nesting of if else, that we have seen already. Okay, so how the condition are determined? Okay, so if you provide any non-zero value, if you provide any non-zero value or non-null value, that will be treated as a true. For example, if I write if and provide x here in the bracket. Okay, so what is x? We don't know right now. Okay, suppose x is equal to 0, then what will happen? So in this case the if condition becomes false because x is equal to 0. So you must provide a non-zero value, then only the value will be treated as a true. Okay, it is not necessary to give the condition all the time like this. For example, x is equal to 5 and then provide the value of x here as 4. Here in this case it is true, as you can see that 4 is not equal to 5, but you do not need to write the condition always like this. Okay, we can simply write if x and give the value of x as a 4. So as we know that the value of x is 4, which is a non-zero value, so here the condition becomes true. If I provide any value which is like 0, okay, suppose the value is 0, in that case what will happen? This condition becomes false. So in Python programming it is very clear that if you provide 0 value or null value, then the condition will be treated as a false value. Okay, it is not necessary that the expression which you provide here should be evaluated into a boolean result. Means always inside the if, true value or false value is not required. You can also provide the integer value. For example, in inside you can also write if and inside the bracket you can write 0. So in this case the condition is false because 0 is what? An integer value, and it is a 0 value, and that's why the condition will be treated as a false. Okay, so we can also provide here boolean value or we can provide here integer value. Both are okay in case of Python programming language. Okay, there is no issue with that. Only thing you have to remember that if you provide here any false value, then the if condition is false, or if you provide any 0 value or null value here, then the if condition is false, otherwise the if condition is true. Okay, now let us see these types these varieties of if else statement. Okay, and their definitions. So what happens when we use the first variety? In the first variety we will be having the if keyword, and inside the bracket we will be having some condition. If that condition is true, then the statement which is written inside the if block will be executed. Okay, otherwise nothing will happen because there is no else part. Second variety, if else. In this case there will be certain condition given with the if. Okay, that condition may be an expression or may be a simple integer value or a boolean value. Okay, and if that condition is true, then the statement which is written within the if statement will be executed. Otherwise the statement which is written inside the else part will be executed. Okay, in case of the third variety, if, elif and else statement, we will be having the first condition given with the if. If that condition is true, then the code or the block of statement which are written inside the if block will be executed. Okay, if that condition is false, then it will jump towards elif part, and elif will also have some condition associated with them. Okay, so there may be one elif or more than one elif. Okay, this elif part is also optional, else part is also optional. These are not compulsory part. If you want to use it, you can use it, or otherwise you can simply ignore it. Okay, so in elif part you can give further condition, like you can check the second condition. If that condition is true, then the code written within the elif part will be executed, otherwise it will not be executed. Okay, when the if condition and all the elif conditions are false, in that scenario the last part, which is the else part, will be executed. Okay, the last variety is nested of if statement. In this case what happens, we have one block, if block, which is nested inside the another if block. It means that when we use one if block inside the another if block, or we use if block inside the another else block, then we say that this is the nesting of if else statement, or it is a if else ladder. Okay, now let us take a close look on all these varieties with an example and the flow diagram. So first we will see if statement without else. Okay, so as we know that else is the optional part and elif is also optional part. Okay, elif is a new keyword which is added in the Python. It is not available in the C language. Okay, so first we are going to see if statement without else. It means that we have ignored this else part. It is not compulsory, we can use it or we can ignore it. Okay, so now we are going to see the flow diagram. Okay, so flow diagram will tell us that how a particular program control will flow. Okay, so suppose that program control has arrived here. Okay, and it is going forward and it has encountered one if condition. So similar to the code. Okay, just take an example. If I take here if x equal to 5. Okay, so this condition is nothing but this block. This condition is nothing but this block. If this condition is true, then what will happen? If this condition is true, then whatever the code which is written inside this if block. Suppose I write here printf, print function. Okay, and I am printing the value of x here. So this code will be executed if this condition is true. Okay, if this condition is true, then the conditional code will be executed. What is the conditional code? This is the conditional code. Okay, and if the condition is false, then we are going towards this line. In that case it will go towards the next line of code, so it will ignore this part and the program control will directly jump towards the next line of code. Suppose we have some other line of code here. Suppose another print is there which is outside the if block. Okay, so that will be executed. Okay, it will ignore this part. Okay, it will ignore this line. Okay, and it will execute the further line. Okay, so this is how the if statement works. Now let us talk about the if statement, okay, without else statement and their syntax, program and output. So you can see here the syntax is given. If, then we have to provide a condition. That condition may be an expression, okay, a simple expression or mathematical expression or boolean expression. All type of expressions are allowed here, okay, but it must evaluate into either boolean value true and false, or it must evaluate into some integer value, that may be a positive number, negative number, or a zero value, okay. If this condition is true, when this condition is true, when we provide a non-zero value or non-null value or a true boolean value, then this condition is true, okay. So if this condition is true, then the statement written here will be executed, otherwise nothing will happen. The compiler will ignore this statement and it will move towards the next statement, okay. So let us take an example. One variable is defined here, okay, the value of variable is 100, okay. In Python we do not need to provide any data type here, okay, automatically data type will be taken depending on the value of the variable. So value of the variable is integer here, so by default its type is integer. Also we do not need to provide any semicolon here, okay. Now let us go to the next line. So here we came here, if block is there, okay, then the value of variable is 100, so 100 comes here. 100 is equal to 100, condition is true. When the condition is true, then what will happen, this line will be executed and this value will be printed, okay. If you want, you can give here bracket in Python, okay. Some compiler require the bracket, some does not require the bracket, okay. So if you want, you can give the bracket here, okay. So see, this line will be printed, okay, and after this line will be executed, so we will get this output. Suppose the value of variable is 10 here, not 100. In that case, what will happen, 10 will appear here. 10 is equal to 100, condition becomes false, condition become false. In that case, this line will not be executed, only this line will executed, because this line is out of the if block, it is not the part of if block. So this line will always be executed whether the condition is true or false, and this line depends on the condition. If the condition is true, then this line will be executed. If the condition is false, then this line will not be executed. Next topic is if else statement. Let us understand the flow diagram. So suppose the flow of the program has started and it came here, okay. Then here you can see some conditions are given. These conditions are equivalent to if block, if condition. So if the condition is true, then the code written inside the if block will be executed, okay, and then it will go to the next line. If the condition is false, then it will go to the else part. So it will have some else part associated with this else part, and this is the if part, and this is the if block, and this is the else block, okay. We have some code here, we have some line of code here, okay. So if the if condition is true, then if code will be executed, it means that this portion will be executed. If this condition is false, if this condition is false, okay, then this portion, this flow will be ignored, okay, and then the program will flow through this line and else code will be executed, okay, else code will be executed, okay. So when the else code will be executed, this portion will be executed, okay. This is how it works. Now let us talk about the example, okay. So first we'll see the syntax of if else, then we'll see the program based on that. So here you can see that we have if, then we have expression, okay. If you want, you can use the bracket here, there is no issue, okay. Then we have some statement, okay, and we have to give here indentation. That indentation means one tab space is required here. If you give this one tab space, then this statement will be considered inside the if block. If you don't give this space, one tab, then this statement will be out of the if block. Okay, in Python programming we do not use opening and closing curly braces. For the opening curly braces we use the colon, and for the closing curly braces nothing is required. Okay, if you want to say that this statement is inside the if block, then this statement must be written after the if statement, and it must be having one tab space, that is called as indentation in Python. So you must provide an indentation, then only this statement will become the part of if block. Similarly, after if part there will be some else part. This colon is there, so this indicate opening of else. Then there will be some statement. This statement must also have the indentation, must also have the one tab space. Okay, so here opening closings are not used, colons are used, and this then indentations are used. Okay, so if you provide the one tab space, then it indicate that this statement is inside the else part. Okay, now let us see the program, then we will have more clarity on it. Okay, so we have the variable here, the value is 100. Now we are checking the condition if var1. Okay, so var1 is given. What is the value of var1? 100, which is a positive value, non-zero value, so the condition is true. When the condition is true, then what will happen? This line will be executed. Okay, you can write this line after the if statement also. Okay, suppose if you want to write this line in the next line, that also you can do by giving the indentation. You can do that. Okay, after giving the indentation you can write this line here, or you can also write this line here. Both are okay. Okay, so either you, if you want, if you write this line in the same line or in the next line, both are okay. Okay, if you want to write this line into the next line, then you must provide here indentation, and then you can write this line. Okay, after the printf, opening and closing bracket can be given, that depends on the compiler, and cannot be given. Okay, it varies compiler to compiler. Okay, that's optional. So here the condition is true, therefore this will be executed. Okay, and then we are printing the value of var1. Okay, so what is the value of var1? 100, that will be printed. So as you can see in the output, then this part will be completely ignored, because if condition is true, okay, then we have var2, another variable whose initial value is 0. Condition is given if var2. So what is the value of var2? Which is 0. 0 means false, so this part will not be executed. This part will not be executed. Okay, so it will jump from this block to this block. It will go to the else part, and in the else part it will print 2 got a false expression value, then it will print the value of var2, which is 0, and in the last it will print goodbye. So this is how if else work. Now let us take an example of if elif else. So we can use this if elif else whenever we have multiple condition to be checked. For example, we have one variable var. Okay, so I want to check the value of var multiple times, so I can use the if elif else. Okay, so let us understand how it works. Okay, so first we'll have if, then some condition will be there. If the condition is true, then this statement will be executed. If this condition is false, then the flow of the program will jump from if to elif. It will go to the first elif. Okay, you can consider it as a second condition to be checked. Okay, just like the switch case statement. Okay, so here second condition will be checked. Okay, If the second condition is true, then this statement will be executed. If it is not true, then again the program control will jump from here to here. It will go to another elif and it will check for the third condition. If the third condition is true, then what? It will be executed. Okay, so depending on the condition, if condition is true, then this executed and the rest of the part will be ignored. If the if is not true, then it will go to the next line, check for this condition. If this condition is true, only this will be executed, rest part will be ignored. If it is not true, then this will not be executed. It will go to the next line, check for the another condition. If it is true, then only this part is executed, rest of the part will be ignored. If it is not true, then what will happen? It will finally go to the else part and this will be executed. Okay, so let me summarize it again. So we have multiple conditions. First condition given here, second condition given here, third condition given here. So if any one of these three conditions is true, then else part is not executed. If any one of these three conditions are not true, then only else part will be executed. Okay, if suppose this condition is true, then what will happen? This will executed? No. This will executed? No. This will executed? No. If this is not true, only this is true, then what will happen? Only this statement will execute. Rest of the statement, previous statement and the later statement will not be executed. Okay, I hope everyone is clear on this. Okay, one more thing you have to remember, elif is not compulsory to use in any program. It is optional, just like the else. Else is also optional, elif is also optional. Okay, so if you don't want to use the elif, it is okay, you don't use it. If you don't want to use else, it is also okay. You can use the if statement without elif or without else. Okay, another thing, if you want to use the if statement and elif statement, okay, if you want to use the if statement and elif statement, that is also okay. Okay, then another question comes in the mind, sir, how many elif statement we can use, how many conditions we can check? We can check n number of conditions, there is no limitation on that. Okay, so now let us see the program and try to understand this concept if, elif and else in the Python. Okay, so we have one variable, data type is not required, and data type is not required here. Okay, and semicolon is also not required. Checking the first condition, var equal to 200, condition is false. Why? Because the value of var is 100 here, 100 comes here, 100 is equal to 200, no, so the condition is false. So what will happen here? When the if condition is false, it will directly jump towards the elif part and this whole expression will be ignored. Okay, now checking the value of testing the value of var again here, 100 is equal to 150, no, it will ignore this part. It will go to the next elif part. Okay, here it will check the value, var equal to 100, yes, the value of var is 100, 100 is equal to 100, condition is true, so what will happen? This expression will be executed. So it will print 3 got a true expression value, okay, then print var means print 100 will be printed. Okay, and again as we know that this condition is true, okay, so this else part will not be executed. Okay, if any one of our condition is true, then else will be ignored. Okay, and after the else, after the if, elif, else, we have a print goodbye which is outside the if block, that will be executed. It is not inside the if, not inside the elif, not inside the else, it is beyond that, so it will be executed and it will be printed. Okay, Now let us see the nesting of if else statement, or we can say if else ladder. So it depends on us that how to do the nesting. Okay, as per the requirement of the program we can perform the nesting. Okay, so here we can see that the syntax is given. So there is a if condition, expression will be given. If this condition is true, okay, then only we can go inside this, otherwise we can directly go from this portion to this portion. Okay, else part is always optional, as we know that every else part is optional, every elif is optional. Okay, if suppose this condition is true, then we can perform some operation, or we can again test for another operation. We can again test the another condition. If this condition is true, then either we can do some operation, we can execute some statement, or we can choose this second option in which we can test the another conditions. Okay, if this condition is true, then the statement retained inside this if will be executed. If this condition is false, then it will go to its elif part, check for the another condition. Okay, if this is true, this will be executed. If this is not true, go to the next elif. Similarly, if this is true, this is printed, this will be executed. If it is not, then it will go to the else part. Okay, so if this condition and these conditions are false, then only this statement will be executed. Okay, so we have just done the nesting. Okay, it is similar to the previous concept, if else concept. Let us take an example. Suppose the value of var is 100 here, and now we are testing the first condition. Var is less than 200. Put the value of var here, 100. 100 is less than 200, yes or no? 100 is less than 200. Yes, it is less than 200. Okay, so condition is true. When the condition is true, then the program control goes inside this if block, and the first statement executed. Expression value is less than 200, it comes here in the output. Then we are testing the another condition. Var is equal to 150. What is the value of var? 100. 100 is equal to 150? No. So this will not be executed, it will go to the elif part. Okay, now coming here in the elif part, another condition is given. So value of var is 100. 100 is equal to 100, so condition is true, so this will be executed. So in the output we can see which is 100 appearing. After that, when this condition is true, this is printed, nothing has to be checked. It will skip all this part. It will skip all this part. It will not be executed at all. When any one of the condition, whether this condition or this condition or this condition is true, any one of the condition is true, then the rest of the part will be ignored automatically. Okay, it will ignore rest of the part, and as we know that this condition was initially true, so this will be also ignored. Okay, and finally it will go to the last line, print goodbye, and it will print goodbye. Okay, so this is how it works. Now let us move to the next concept, which is the loop. Okay, so the question is when to use a loop. So whenever you have to perform a simple task multiple times, for example, we have the 4 or 5 statement, which is a Python statement, and that I want to execute multiple times. Okay, so we can use loop in that case. So how loop works? It start with certain given condition, and it keeps checking the certain given condition, which is called as a exit condition, and it keeps executing the statement until it mates with the exit condition. So we have two types of loops in the Python programming, while loop and for loop. We do not have do while loop in the Python programming language. Always you have to remember this point. Also we are going to cover some of the special cases in the loop, like infinite loop, when the loops become infinite, and loop with else. So how to use a loop with else? So first of all, let us understand the flow of the loop, how the loop work. So this is the flow diagram of the loop, you can see here. Okay, so when the program control comes with the loop, it is initialized at some value automatically, and it will check for the condition, given condition. If the given condition is satisfied, it is true, okay, then the program control will go towards the code which is written inside the written inside the loop, and it will execute those codes. Okay, for example, if I use for loop and certain condition is given, okay, inside for loop we have some statement. Okay, so when this condition is true, then this statement will be executed. When this condition is not true, it is false, okay, in that case this statement will be completely ignored. Okay, and when the condition is false, then what will happen? The program will ignore these statements. This statement will be ignored, and it will directly go to the next line of the code. Okay, next line of the code will be executed. Okay, so let us take the example of the while loop. We have the syntax. We have to use the keyword while, then we have to give the expression, and as we know that we don't have any opening and closing curly braces in the Python programming language, so we are using the colon in place of opening curly braces. Okay, and for closing curly braces there is nothing is required. Okay, just we have to give the indentation to the statement which are supposed to be written inside the loop. Okay, now while, then expression, any expression, okay, and then colon, and then you can give the statement which you want to keep inside the loop. Okay, so here you can see the flow is given here. So we have certain condition that will be checked. Okay, if the condition is true, then the code written inside the loop will be executed. Okay, and it will again check the condition. If the condition becomes false at any point of time, then it will exit the loop and the next line of the code will be executed. Okay, so let us take the program into consideration. This is a program. So we have one variable called count whose value is 0 here. Okay, now we are checking count is less than 9. So you have to remember, whatever the variable you use inside the loop, that variable must be initialized at some point. Okay, it must be initialized. Okay, so we have initialized a variable count at 0. Now we are checking the value here. 0 is less than 9, condition is true, so this part will be executed. The count is, this is a message part. Okay, so in Python you can write the message in the single quote or in the double quote or in the triple quote, all are correct. Okay, for example, if I want to write any string, like I want to write Ram, okay, so I can use double quotes, or I can simply use single quote, or I can use triple quote, all are correct. Okay, all are correct. So we can use any kind of we can say quotes for writing the string or message. Okay, so here we are using the single quote. Okay, the count is, then we are printing the value of count. Semicolon is not required in Python. Opening and closing brackets are optional, that depends on the type of compiler. So some compiler require it, some compiler does not require it. You can give it as per the requirement. Okay, then count equal to count plus 1. Here also we are updating the loop, we are incrementing the value of count by 1, so that the next time the count will have the different value. Okay, so either you can upgrade the loop or you can downgrade the loop, okay, as per the need of the program. Okay, so here the now count becomes 0 plus 1, that is equal to 1. Now coming here again, coming here, checking the condition. 1 is less than 9, condition is true. 1 is less than 9, condition is true. Again this message will appear and the value of count will be printed. So 0 1 is printed. Next time 1 plus 1 becomes 2, 2 comes here, 2 is less than 9, condition is true, the value is printed 2. In this way it will follows. Okay, until the value of count becomes 9 here. Okay, so when it becomes 9 here, 9 will come here, 9 is less than 9, condition become false, and loop will exit. When the loop will exit, this portion will not be executed, and the program control will go out of the loop, and this print will be executed, and goodbye will be printed. Okay, so this is how the while loop work. Now let us take the for loop into consideration, how the for loop work. In Python, for loop is a little bit having a different syntax, okay, but the concept is again same. Okay, so what happens in generally in the Python programming, we have a for loop, okay, which generally uses a list of items, okay, and then it has some statement that is to be executed. Okay, this statement must also have the indentation. Okay, by mistake it is not given here, but it should be having some indentation. Okay, then only the statement will be inside the for loop. So how will be the flow? Simple flow will be there. There will be some item in the list, and for each item will be in the list. Okay, this is what list is there, and this is what a simple variable, loop variable you can say. So for, and the list will contain many item. Okay, for every item in the list, okay, the item will be represented by this variable. Okay, so for every item in the list, the loop will run one time. Okay, so suppose we have a list of 10 numbers here, and we are writing here some variable name, then this statement will be executing 10 times. Okay, so let us take an example, then we'll have better understanding. So I am giving here one example. Okay, so this is what the for loop is, how the for loop look like in the Python. We have for keyword that should be written here, that's a word for identifying the for loop. Then we have used here one variable called as later. This is the name of variable, okay, which represent one of the item in the list, and this is the list. Okay, this is the list of what? List of characters. So Python allow us, actually we cannot say it's a lit, it is basically a string. Basically a string. Okay, so generally list look like this. Okay, it will have some item like 1 2 3. This is what the list is. Okay, this is a string. Okay, so the for loop in the Python is having some ability to iterate through, to visit through each elements in the given list or a string. Okay, so here we have given some string which have many characters. So what happens when the for loop will run? Okay, initially the letter will have this particular character p. Okay, for every letter in this string, the loop will run once. Okay, so how many letters are here? 1 2. How many characters are here? 1 2 3 4 5 6. So the loop will run 6 times. Okay, so how it will run? Initially it will run like this: for later in Python. Then first time it will choose p from the list. From this string it will choose the first character. See, the for loop can be worked on the string also, on the list also. Okay, so when it works on the string, it choose character. Okay, so one character will be responsible for running the loop one time. Okay, so here the p will be chosen first. Okay, so now later is having the value p. So inside the variable later, what we have? We have value p, the first character p. Okay, so and this loop will continue running until we have finished this number of character here. When it will come to n, it will run the last time, and after that there is no character in the string, so it will execute, stop the execution of the loop. Okay, so initially first time it will check into the string whether it has character or not. It has the character, and then it will choose the first character. Okay, and it will print current later, and then it will print the value of later. What is the value of later here? P. That will be printed. Next time again the loop will be updated, and this variable now will choose another character, the next character in the string. Now the letter is holding what? Y. It is holding Y now. So next time it will print Y. Similarly, next time the letter this loop will be updated, and this letter will hold the next character T. Okay, so it will print tree, T, then H, then O, then N, you can see here, and after N the string is terminated here. Okay, there is no further character, so the loop cannot get updated, and it will exit the loop because there is no further character available in the string. So we can apply the for loop onto the string. If we apply the for loop onto the string, then it will choose character from the string, one character at a time. If we apply the for loop onto the list, then it will take one item at a time from the list until the list becomes until the items are over. Okay, when the items are over, the list is terminated, the loop is terminated. Okay, now let us take another example. This is the example of list. Okay, the square bracket here indicate the list. In the C language, the square bracket indicate what? Array. But in Python, the square bracket indicate what? List. List is like a array. Okay, it can hold n number of items here. Okay, so first item is banana, second is apple, and third is mango. All the item will be separated by comma. Okay, and the name of the list is fruit. This is the name of the list. Okay, so you can simply create a list by giving some name, then equal to, and in the square bracket you can give the name of the items which are there in the list. Assume that this is a bucket. This is a bucket and it has many items in it. Okay, so 3 items are there. Okay, now we can apply the for loop onto the list very easily. Okay, and mostly in Python the loops are used on the list only. Okay, list, set, tuples, we can use the loop on that. So here let us see closely how to use the for loop onto the list. Okay, the name of list is fruit here. Okay, so we are writing for, just like this, for, then give any variable name. We are giving fruit here, that is the name of variable. This fruit is different from the list name. This is fruits, S is there. Okay, and this is simple fruit. You can write in place of fruit, you can also use any other variable name like f or any other variable name. Okay, so I am writing here fruit. This is the variable name. Okay, this is not the list name. Now I am writing in. In is a keyword available in Python which looks for item inside a certain list. Okay, for fruit in fruits, this is the name of list. Okay, so this loop will run until we have no item left in the list which is unvisited. Okay, so let us take an example. So initially when the first time loop will start, okay, so fruit will have first item from this list. So first item in the list is banana, so initially fruit will have banana. So initially fruit is equal to banana. Okay, then we are going inside this loop. Okay, because there is item available in the list, so the condition is true, and it will go inside the loop and print current fruit, and the name of the fruit is banana now, so it will print banana, as you can see here in the output. Next time the loop is updated, so now the fruit is pointing to the next element in the fruits, so it will pointing to which element? It is pointing to apple now. Okay, it is pointing to apple now, so now it will print apple. Again the loop is updated automatically, and it will point to the next element available in the fruits, means next element available in the list. So next element is what? Mango, so it will print mango here. Now again the loop will be updated and it will look for the next element available in the list. There is no further element available in the list, so the loop will be terminated and the program control will go out of the loop and it will go towards the next statement which is outside the loop, and it will print goodbye. So this is how the for loop work in the Python programming language. The for loop have many varieties. We can apply it onto the string, we can apply it onto the list, we can apply it onto the what we can say set, we can apply it onto the dictionary, tuples, okay, and also we can use the for loop with the function called as a range function, okay. So we'll see all the varieties, okay. Now let us see the range function and how to use the range function with the loop, with the for loop. So this is one of the variety of the for loop in which we are using the range function. So just like the conventional for loop, okay, in conventional for loop what we do, we provide some initial value, then semicolon, then we give condition, then semicolon, and then we give what loop updation, okay. So like for example, I equal to 0, I should be less than suppose 5, and I plus plus, okay. So this is what initial value, this is what final value, this is what steps to be taken, this is what start, this is what where you have to stop, and this is what step, this is what step, okay. From where we have to start, from where we have to stop, and how big a step we have to take, that is defined here, okay. So based on this syntax, we have a function in the Python called range function which allow us to use this format with the for loop, okay. So it has three variety. First variety having only one parameter which is called as a stop. So it has only one stop variable. By default it start with the 0, okay. In this case by default the loop will start with the 0. Then we have another format in which we have two parameters, start and stop, okay. So what will happen here, we are giving the starting value and the stop value. So by default this step will be taken as a 1. So by default I plus plus means 1 will be taken as a step. And in the last syntax we are providing the start value, stop value, and we are also giving the step. The step may be having the value 1 or 2 or 3. If we give value as a 2, then the value the loop will jump by 2 every time it executes. So let us take an example, then we have more clarity on this, okay. So we are taking the first example here, the variable function range, and having only one parameter which is called as a stop parameter, okay, where to stop. So we are writing here for, this is a variable name I, for I, then keyword in, for I in range. Now we do not have any list here or a string here. Now we are having certain range given, range of numbers are given. Imagine that we have certain range of numbers given and we have a stop value. So only one parameter is given here. So when we have only one parameter given, so that is what stop value. In this case by default the start value is 0 and the step value is 1, okay. When we have only stop value, then step value is 1 and the start value is by default 0, okay. So it will start from 0, it will end at 6 as given here, and it is incremented by 1 every time it executes, okay. So let us see the output, print I. So initially it will print 0, the first value, then it is automatically incremented by 1 because when the steps are not given in the parameter, then by default the step value is what, 1. Always remember, default step value is what, always 1 if it is not given. Similarly, default start value is what? Start is always what? At 0 if it is not given. So when we have only one parameter, then there is no start and no step, only stop is there. Okay, when we have two parameters, then start is there, stop is there. When we have all three parameters, then you do not need to assume any initial value. Okay, so it will start with the 0, then automatically the loop will be incremented by 1, then the next value 1 will be printed, then again the loop will be automatically incremented by 1, then 2 up to what? It will go up to 6 minus 1. Always you have to remember, whatever the stop value you give here, okay, it will not reach up to that value. So if I write here I should be less than 5, so do we print the value of value 5 in the output? No, we never print that value. We go up to 4 only. Similarly here also, if you write here 6, it will go up to 6 minus 1 all the time. You have to remember, whatever the stop value you provide here, it will take 1 less than that. Okay, it will take 1 less than that. So it will start with the 0, it will go up to 5, 0 1 2 3 4 5, and that will be printed. Similarly, in the next example we can see here we have start and we have stop. Okay, we have start and we have stop given here. So here you can see this variable I will choose the value, okay, from the range which will start with the 20. Okay, now we are following this syntax. Okay, and it will stop at 25, so it will start with the 20, and now the step value is not given, so default step value is 1. Okay, so initial value will be printed 20. Okay, 20 will be printed. Okay, 20 will be printed, then it will be increased, and the value of I is initially 20, which is printed. Now after 20 the value of I will be incremented by 1 because the step is 1. Okay, so now it becomes 21, it is printed. Now 21 is printed, then again step is 1, so the value of I will be incremented by 1, so it becomes 22. Now again the step value is 1, so again the value of I is incremented by 1 when the loop is updated. Now the value of I becomes what? 23, similarly 24, but it will not go up to 25 because always whatever the value of stop we provide here, it will take 1 less than that. So if you provide 20 and 25, it will start with the 20 and go up to 24 only, 1 less than 25. Okay, the next version is the third version, start, stop and step. Here starting is given, stopping condition is given, and the step size is also given. Okay, so starting with the 0 going up to 15. 15 is written here, but is it going to 15? No, it will go up to 14 only. Okay, and the step 3, it means that it will jump by 3. Starting with the 0, then jump by 3, 3, then jump by 3, 6. Okay, then jump by 3, 6 to 9, and then jumping from 9 to 12. So it is jumping by the value 3 all the time when the loop is incrementing, and that's why this step is very important. If you provide the step value, then it will take the step value whatever you provided here. If you don't provide the step value, by default it is what? By default it is 1. So with the help of range function we can use the for loop, okay, as per our requirement in the old fashioned way which we have used in the C language. Okay, in the C language we used to follow this format, so the same format can be followed with the help of range function. Okay, with the help of range function. Now let us take another example in which we are mixing both the concept. We are mixing the concept of iterating through the list items and also using the range function. So how it works? So I have always told you that list is similar to array. Okay, so this is what the list is. The name of list is fruit. It has 3 items. So the index value of first item is 0, the index value of second item is 1, just like the array. Okay, array is also having index, list is also having index. So the index is 0 1 2. So what index, how to represent this element? We can write here fruit, and then inside the square bracket we can give the index value 0. When I write fruit 0, then the first element is indicated. Okay, when I write fruit 1, then this will be represented. When I write fruit 2, then this will be represented. This is how the list work. We are going to cover this topic in the upcoming videos. Okay, now see here how to use the for loop with the loop value and with the list index value. Okay, so what we can see here, we can write here for index. We can use any variable name here as per our requirement. In place of index you can simply write I, there is no issue. Okay, so for index in, then we are writing range variable we are using. Okay, range function we are using, and we are providing only one parameter here. So can you guess which format of range we are using? We are using the format range stop. Okay, so we are giving stop value here. Okay, we are giving the stop value here, and then inside that bracket, if you watch closely, we are using the length function. Okay, this length function is used to calculate the length of any list. Okay, so this is the list starting from here ending up to here. So how many items it has? It has 3 items. So when we call len function, so what it will give you in the output? It will give 3. What it will give you in the output? It will give 3. So in place of this line, 3 will appear. What will appear? 3 will appear here. 3 will appear here. So this line becomes for index in range, and inside the bracket we have 3. So when we have a range function and we are giving stop value as a 3, then from where it will start? It will start with the 0, then it will go up to 1 2. Will it go to 3? It will not go to 3, it will go less than 1. Okay, it will go 3 minus 1, it will go up to 2 only. Okay, and you have to remember, whenever we give only stop value, this is a stop value. Okay, when we have only one parameter, as you can see here in the previous example, when we have only one parameter, then the step value is 1 by default and the start value is by default 0. Okay, so here also you can see the only stop value is given, so start is by default 0, and the steps which we take means the value by which we increment the value of variable is always 1. Okay, so from 0 it will go to 1, 1 to 2. Okay, so here the value of index variable will differ, it will change. Initially the index is holding 0. Initially the index is holding 0. Okay, initially the index is holding 0. So when I print current fruit and I am trying to print this list, so I am writing the list name fruit. Just like the array name, we are writing the list name fruits, and I am providing the index value which is initially 0. So what will it will print? It will print the first item banana. Okay, now moving on. Automatically the value of this range will be incremented. Okay, and now it becomes 1. So the value of index is updated, and now it becomes what? 1. So next time when it execute current fruits, it is accessing the list. This is the list, and now the index value is 1, so it will go to which element of this list? It will go to the second element apple. It will go to second element because it is having the index value 1. So this time it will print what? Apple. Similarly, when the loop is again updated, what will happen? The value of this variable index will jump from 1 to 2. It will go to 2. So it will have the value 2 here. So it will indicate 2 now. So when this line will be executed, it will print what? Fruit of 2. Fruit of 2 means what? Go to the list fruit, go to the index number 2 and pick the element. So next time it will print what? Mango. So you can see here in the output mango. And again the for loop will be updated and it will increase the value 2 to 3. Okay, it will increase the value to 3? No, because the condition is stop is met here. Okay, the 3 is the final value, so it will not go up to the final value and the loop will be terminated. Loop will be terminated, it will go out of the loop and it will execute the next line, which is goodbye, and you can see here in the output goodbye is there. So this is how we can use the loop to iterate by sequence index or index value of a particular list items. Okay, so you can see here, this is what this is the list, this is the name of list, this is a list which contains many items, and we can iterate through the items by their index value also. If you want to iterate through the items using index value, we can use range function. Okay, now we are going to take some of the special cases of the loop, which is called as a infinite loop. Okay, infinite loop. So when we have the infinite loop, when do we have the infinite loop? So whenever you give any condition in which the given condition in the loop is always going to be true, it is never going to be false, then it is called as a infinite loop. Okay, so here you can see the value of the variable is 1, var is 1, so 1 is equal to 1 condition is true now. Okay, and I am taking some input number using the raw input function. This function was available in the Python 2 version. In the latest version it is not available or not used. Okay, so I am writing enter number, this message will appear onto the screen, user will enter some value and that value will be accepted and stored into the variable num. Okay, then I am printing you entered num, I am printing you entered and then I am printing the number. Getting my point? I am printing the number. But here you can see in the while loop I am not writing any line of code, okay, which is going to increment or decrement the value of var. I am not writing var plus plus here, or I am not writing var is equal to var plus 1 here. So loop updation is not done by us. We are not updating the loop. We are just initializing the loop, checking the condition, but we are not updating the loop, because of which the value of var will always remain 1 and this condition will always be true, and because of this the loop will go into infinite execution and this will never come out of the loop. Okay, because of this a time will come when the stack memory becomes full, okay, and there is no space remain in that, okay, to continue this loop. Okay, in that case what will happen, it will give you an error and you will see onto the message traceback most recent call, last call, then file name will appear, it will show on which line we have the error. Okay, it will show the function name where we are getting the error, and it will show the exception keyboard interrupted. Okay, keyboard interrupt message will come onto the screen. So whenever such kind of situation comes, when by mistake you have applied the infinite loop, then the control will go out of your hand. So if you want to control the program or terminate the execution of the infinite loop, you can do so by simply clicking pressing the Ctrl C button. Okay, by simply pressing the Ctrl C button. Okay, now the another interesting condition, the special condition is using the loop with else. Okay, so how to use a loop with else? Let us take the example on that. Okay, so it is very similar, it is very simple. So how it works, as soon as this condition is true, as soon as the given loop condition is true, this statement will continue to execute. Okay, but what happens when this condition is false? What happens when this condition becomes false? Okay, so in that case what will happen, it will go to the else part. It is what the mixture of if else and the loop concept. The loop with else means what? Mixture of loop and if else. Okay, so when this condition is true, okay, then this portion will get executed, this both statement will get executed. As soon as this condition becomes false, this will not be executed, this will not be executed, but it will go to the else part and this will get executed. Okay, it is very simple. Okay, so let us take an example. Initially the value of count is 0, checking the condition, count is less than 5, 0 is less than 5, condition is true, condition is true, it is printing 0 is less than 5, value of count 0 is less than 5 is a message. Okay, count equal to count plus 1, we are increasing the value of count by 1, so now count is 1, 1 is less than 5, condition true, then again it will be printed 1 is less than 5. Similarly 2 is less than 5, 3 is less than 5, 4 is less than 5. Finally the count becomes 5, 4 plus 1 5. Now coming here 5 is less than 5, condition becomes false. In this case what will happen, this portion will not be executed, the control of the program will jump from that point to this point and it will execute the statement which is written inside the else. Okay, so in Python we can use else with the while, we can also use else with the for loop. Okay, so the for loop concept is also similar to this one. Okay, so when the else part will execute, when the loop is terminated, means when the loop termination condition is met, when this condition becomes false, then the else part is executed and this will be printed. The next topic is the for loop with else. Okay, the for loop with else. So let us take the example. So here as you can see we are using range function, so two parameter, start is there, stop is there. Okay, starting from 1 going up to 2, 3, will it go to 4? No, it is always less than stop, 1 less than stop, 1 less than 4 means 3. So this loop will execute 3 times. Okay, this loop will execute 3 times. Okay, so when the condition becomes false, when the value of I becomes 4, then what will happen, it will jump from this part to else part, it will jump from this part to else part and this will be executed. Okay, this will be executed and no break will be printed in the output. So initially 1 2 3 and then when the value of I becomes 4, then the condition is internally 4. Okay, then it will go to the else part and this will be executed, no break. Okay, so this is how we use the else statement with the for loop. Now we are going to see some of the keywords, okay, some of the statements which are very much useful in loops. So we have the loop control statement, okay, that we are going to see today, okay, in the next part. So first statement is break statement. Okay, so what is the purpose of break statement? It terminates the execution of the loop and transfer the execution to the statement immediately following the loop. Okay, so whenever we use any break statement and this break statement is executed inside the loop, then loop will be terminated and the control of the program will go out of the loop and it will execute the statement which is after the loop. Okay, which is after the loop. Next statement is continuous statement. When we use the continuous statement, then what happens? The statement which are written after the continuous statement will not be executed, that will be skipped, that will not be executed, and it will go towards the beginning of the loop once again and keep executing the loop. Okay, so when continue is executed, then what happens? Suppose we have a loop starting from here and here we have continue and we have some other statement here and loop is closed here, loop is open here. Okay, so when it encountered any continue, like continue is here suppose, and loop is running and it encounter continue, then what will happen? this portion will not be executed, this portion will be skipped, and again the loop will go to the initial position, the beginning of the loop. The program control will again go to the beginning of the loop. It will skip this part, not run this part, and it will go to the beginning of the loop again when it encounters continue statement. Okay, then the last one is a pass statement. Okay, if you define any function in the Python and you write the you want to write, suppose you want to write some code, and for that you have defined one section, like uh, one block is reserved by you to write some code in the future, but currently you don't want to write any code in that section, so you can simply write here pass. So compiler will see this statement and will understand that in future you are going to utilize this area for writing some code, but currently you don't have any code, so you are writing pass. Okay, for that we use the pass statement. Okay, okay, so when we see the exact example on this, then you will have better understanding on these topics. Okay, so let us take the example. So first of all, break. Okay, so when the loop is suppose we are using the loop, so we will have some code, some condition will be there. Okay, if the condition is true, then we'll go inside the loop, and then we will have some other conditional code, like we can give the if statement for testing. And suppose if that if condition is true, then only I have to break the loop. So we'll check the condition. If the condition is true, then the program control will in place of rotating, it will leave the rotating the loop, and it will go to in other direction. Okay, and it will execute the break. When it will execute the break, then the program will be then the loop will be terminated, and the program control will go to the next line followed by the loop. Okay, so let us, the syntax is very simple, just write break. Let us take an example on this. So I am using a loop here, for loop, and the variable later in is a keyword which will be responsible for picking one of the character from this list and assign it to this variable later. So initially letter is holding what? Initially letter is holding P, character P. Okay, so initial letter is holding P, and it will be holding different values during different execution of the loop. Okay, so now letter is holding P, first item has been picked from this string, for character has been picked. Okay, now we are checking if letter is equal to H. So now letter is H, no, it is P. P is equal to H, no, condition is false. So this statement break will not be executed. Okay, so this is not executed, so it will jump from here to here, and it will print current letter, and the value of letter is P, which is printed. Again the loop will continue because this statement is inside the loop. Okay, so next time the letter will pick the another character Y from the string. Now it is holding what? Y. Y is equal to H. Again condition is false, break will not be executed, but this line will be executed because it is out of the if block. So this will be printed Y. Again the loop will be updated, and this time the letter will have the another word T. T is equal to H, no, condition false, this will not be executed. This will be executed, T will be printed. Again loop will be updated. Now letter is holding what? The next character, which is H. Now letter is holding H. H is equal to H, condition becomes true. When the condition becomes true, then if overall condition is, when the overall condition of if is true, then the statement inside the if will be executed when the break will be executed. then this loop will be terminated and program control will go out of the loop and it will go to the next statement which is following this for loop. Okay, so this further output will not appear here, okay, because loop has been terminated because of break statement. Next is continue statement. So how continue statement work, let me explain you. Suppose this is the condition of the for loop, this is the condition of the for loop. Okay, so if the condition is true, then for loop will keep rotating, and this is what, this is some of the line of code, some of the line of code written after the continue statement, or we can say that it is like a if statement, it is like a if statement inside the for loop. Suppose if x equal to 0, so when this condition will met, then only I will use the continue. Okay, so now the normal condition of loop is checked. If it is true, then loop will start its execution. It will go to the if part, it will check the condition. If the condition is true, then it will use the continue, otherwise it will not use the continue. Okay, when it will use the continue, then what will happen, then the statement which you have written after the continue statement will not be executed, that will be skipped, and it will directly go to conditional part of the loop. Okay, for example, let us take an example, then we will have better understanding. For example, take this example. Okay, now we have for, this is a variable, this is a keyword, this is what, the string. So because of for loop, we are going to pick one of the character one by one from this string. So first time the letter is having holding p, letter in p means letter is holding p, the first value. Okay, now p appears here, p is equal to h, no condition, false. So this will execute, no, this will not execute. Okay, so it will print current letter which is p. Next time, now the letter is holding what, the loop has been updated, and now the letter is holding the another character from this what we can say string. Now letter is holding y, y is equal to h, no, so this will not execute it, but this will execute it, it will print y. The loop is again updated, now letter is holding the next character which is t. So t is equal to h, no, condition is again false, this will not be executed. Okay, so there is no impact, this will be printed. Now the loop is again updated, now letter is holding h, h equal to h, condition is now true, condition is now true, so this will be executed. As soon as this line will be executed, the next line or further line of code which is written inside this for loop after the continue statement will not be executed, it will be skipped for that particular execution, for that particular rotation, or for that particular iteration. This line will be ignored. Okay, and from this point onwards, as soon as this is executed, these portions are ignored completely, and the loop will directly go to the condition part, and it will check the condition of the condition with the next letter. So it will automatically choose the next letter O, and it will verify the condition here again. Okay, and it will come here with the new value O automatically, ignoring all these lines. Okay, so during that iteration, these lines will be ignored because the condition was true. Okay, continue was executed, so these lines will be ignored. So what continue does, it ignores the further line of code whenever it is get executed. Okay, so now letter is holding O, that's why you can see here h is not printed in the output. In the output, when the letter was holding h, when the letter was holding h, the condition was true, so this was executed. When the continue was executed, so this line was ignored. As this line was ignored, the h has not appeared in the output. You can see here there is no h in the output. Okay, and directly the letter is picking the next character O, and again we are coming here, O is equal to h, condition is again false, so this will not be executed again, but this time this is executed because there is no continue has not executed, so it will not skip any line, it will be printed. So now O is printed. Again the loop is updated, it will pick the next character N, so N will appear here. N is equal to h, condition is false. When the if condition is false, then this line continue will not be executed. When continue is not executed, then this line will be executed. Okay, and it will print the value O. So let me summarize the continue in very simple manner. Whenever the continue is executed, then the statement written after the continue will not be executed, that will be skipped, and the loop will be continued for next iteration. Okay, so loop will continue for next iteration will be done. Loop will not terminate. Okay, loop will not terminate, only the line which is written after the continue will be ignored, and it will continue the execution of the loop. Okay, the last statement is a pass statement. Okay, and the generally pass statements are not used. Okay, but if you want to be a very good programmer in future, then you can use this pass statement. Okay, it is rarely used. Okay, so let us understand this pass statement. Pass statement is used as a placeholder for future code. Okay, suppose you are writing some code, you want to define some function, you have defined some function, but you have not written any code inside that function, you have just given the function name, but you don't have written any code inside that. Okay, because currently you don't want to use that function or implement that function. In future you want to implement that function, so in that case you might get the error. Okay, in that case you might get the error. Why? Because Python does not allow you to create an empty code. Okay, empty code is not allowed in the loops. Empty code is not allowed in the loops, function definition and class definition, or in the if statement. For example, if you simply write if gives and you don't write any code inside it, or don't write any condition, so you will get the error in the Python. So if you want to avoid that error, then you can use the pass statement. Okay, let me clarify you once again. Empty code is not allowed in the loops. Okay, so if you have created the loops, you must write some statement in it. If you are not writing any statement, it means that loop is useless. If you are writing the if statement and there is no statement inside the if, then that if is useless. Okay, similarly for functions also, for class also. So if you want to create a blank for loop or blank if else statement without any statement inside the block, then you can use the pass statement. Okay, but if you don't use the pass statement, then what will have? You will have some errors, because empty code is not allowed in the Python. Okay, so pass is basically a null statement. It does not do anything with the code, it does not affect the code, it simply helps the compiler to ignore the empty code, because empty code is not allowed in the Python. Okay, so let me give an example on this. So here we are writing for letter in Python. Okay, P has been picked first time by letter, so P is equal to h, condition is false, pass has been ignored, this is also ignored because this condition is false, this is printed P. Similarly next time also y, t is printed. When letter is holding h, condition is true, this is executed, this is also executed, because pass has no effect on the code, Okay, so if you want to keep anything blank in the if, you can simply use the pass. However, in this example nothing is blank here, you can see we have one line of code, but if you don't want to use this one line of code, you can simply write pass here, and there will be no error. Okay, so this is printed, this is a pass block is printed. Okay, then again this letter is printed, O is printed, and finally when the letter is holding N, N is also printed. Then letter is holding the next character which is not there, not available. So since there is no character available in the string, so loop has been terminated and the control goes out of the loop, and then finally this is executed. Goodbye. Okay, this is for today. Okay, rest of the topics or syllabus we'll see in the next day class. Okay, see you soon in the practice session. All the best. Come prepared with your queries. Thank you.